महामहिम राष्ट्रपति जी, माननीय प्रधानमंत्री जी, माननीय लोकसभा अध्यक्ष जी और माननीय संसदीय कार्य मंत्री जी और राज्यसभा में सदन का नेता, राज्यसभा का उपाध्यक्ष और आज इस महोत्सव में भाग लेने वाले सम्माननीय सदस्यगण और विदेशी राजदूतगण और अन्य महानुभाव, बहनों और भाइयों, आज यहाँ एक ऐतिहासिक दिन मनाने के लिए उपस्थित है हम सब लोग। वही दिन जब 1949 में संविधान सभा द्वारा भारत के संविधान को अंगीकार किया था। यह संविधान निर्माताओं के प्रेरणास्पद दृष्टि को याद करने और उस दृष्टि को साकार करने के लिए 72 वर्षों से जारी हमारा प्रयासों पर विचार करने का अवसर है। My dear members, brothers and sisters, today we all have assembled here to commemorate a historic day, a day when the Constitution of India was adopted by the Constituent Assembly in 1949. It's an occasion to recall the vision that inspired the constitutional makers, reflect on the continuing mission that began 72 years ago to translate that vision into action. At the outset, I pay my gratitude to the President of the Constituent Assembly, Dr. Rajendra Prasad ji, Chairman of the Drafting Committee, Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar ji, and the members of the Constituent Assembly for providing direction for nation building. Their overreaching framework continues to guide us in the collective endeavor of our nation to scale new heights amidst the contemporary national and international challenges. Our Constitution, in essence, is a statement of values, ideas, ideals, seeking to ensure justice, liberty, and equality for all in the true spirit of fraternity, and is a guide to peaceful democratic transformation, enabling the people to fulfill their aspirations. Our Constitution is marked by innovative borrowing from various sources and selective adoption, integrating the long-held indigenous values and Western concepts also. It exemplifies the essential Indian worldview that believes in welcoming noble thoughts from all over the world and adopting them in our national context. As we are all aware, it was the people of India who gave themselves this Constitution through their elected representatives in the Constituent Assembly. The preamble summarizes the philosophy of the Constitution, in which the people preferred our country to be a democratic republic, thereby indicating the instrumentalities by which the intended socio-economic transformation was to be achieved. It has been our firm belief that people are at the center of our development. They are the agents of the transformation of our country. Their empowerment is the goal of all our efforts. Their aspirations steer our policies. Their strengths drive our growth. Democracy ultimately is about the people, their central role in governance, and it is who determine who should govern, how should they govern, and what the governance should ultimately lead to. Keeping this perspective in view, we had taken the first major step towards democratic governance by introducing universal franchise right from the day when we became independent. While it took 144 years for the US and 100 years for the UK to confer voting rights on women and the working class, we had the courage of conviction that each and every Indian should have the right to vote and be able to shape our shared destiny. I have referred to the preamble of the Constitution that mandated our country to be a democratic republic in order to share my thoughts on this solemn occasion on the functioning of our parliamentary democracy and its institutions. In a pluralist society like ours, with incredibly fascinating variety and diversity, debate and dialogue become the most important instruments for shaping public policies. This process of dialogue requires openness to new perspectives, a willingness to listen to diverse views. This is the spirit that pervaded the deliberations of the Constituent Assembly. That's the true spirit with which we should ideally permeate our parliamentary system. Discuss, debate, and decide. And in a democracy, what is important is tolerance towards the mandate of the people. I underline tolerance towards the mandate of the people. This should be the guiding principle. Addressing the presiding officers' conference held recently in Simla, Honorable Prime Minister referred to the need to make the legislatures more productive. This is absolutely essential. We must make our parliament and legislatures effective forums for the focused attention on people's concern and national development. Time allocated during the session must be fruitfully spent. The Rajya Sabha Secretariat has been maintaining the required statistics that enable the assessment of productivity of the House since 1978. For 16 years, from 79 to 94, the annual productivity of the House has been over 100%. In the next 26 years since 1995, the productivity of Rajya Sabha has been more than 100%, only twice in 1998 and 2009. A broad declining trend in productivity is evident, and it's touched the lowest ever 35.75% in 2018, a year before the general elections in 2019. During the last 254th session, the productivity has further slipped into 29.60, which means that the Rajya Sabha has lost about 70% of the functional time. All concerned need to ponder over the fact of the rendering legislature so dysfunctional. Clearly, we need to have more meaningful, productive use of our time in our parliament. We need to recognize the exalted place that the parliament occupies in people's perception. It is indeed the sacred place where people's voices are articulated and heard, where their hopes and fears are debated, where laws protecting them foster their growth and enable fast-tracked national development are formulated. The Constituent Assembly debates suggest Rajya Sabha was created primarily to ensure that the enactment of legislation process is carried out with calm, dispassionate, learned, evidence-based, balanced approach. It was meant to be a house of elder statesmen, accomplished public persons who had the ability to participate in a dialogue without rancor and prejudice, who had the ability to present and debate on issues with conviction and persuasive expression. My experience over the last 4 years suggests that no legislative proposal of the government was defeated on the floor of the House, and in fact, quite a few of them were passed by consensus. However, there were instances of bills being delayed on account of disruptions on various issues. I wish and hope that in future we would have fewer occasions like this because it results in inadequate scrutiny of the bills. The Parliament loses the benefit of knowledge and wisdom of its members who have been elected to these positions by the people of this country with great expectations. This also goes against the very objective of having an upper house, which was established for facilitating an in-depth discussion on key issues. Dr. Baba Saheb Ambedkar ji had quite aptly noted that the effective functioning of the Constitution will depend on the quality of the people chosen to work it, and said that the chosen bad lot can fail even a good Constitution, while the good lot can work even on a bad Constitution. As we celebrate the 75th year of our hard-fought independence and also commemorate Samvidhan Divas today, we must be mindful of this profound statement. One of the implications is that if we have to work a constitution well, we must focus both on strengthening all the organs of the state and established institutions as well as enabling good governance. The institutions as well as the people who run them matter. At the same time, we must constantly review our performance critically and honestly reflect as to whether our policies and programs are in consonance with the constitutional values or not. That's why I mentioned about the performance of the upper house, of which I am the chairman. Underlying our constitutional architecture is the firm foundation of inclusion, of leaving no one behind. It is the vision that finds echo in overarching philosophy of the present government led by Prime Minister Sri Narendra Bhai Modi, that believes in Sabka Saath, Sabka Vikas, Sabka Viswas and Sabka Prayas. We have been trying to forge national unity by celebrating diversity. By finding that many threads that bind us together, we must continue to do so. This is the core constitutional value we have inherited and fondly cherish. As Sardar Patelji said, and I quote, "But in the long run, it would be in the interest of all to forget that there is anything like majority or minority in this country, and that in India there is only one community. We are all one nation, one people. We care for everyone, especially of those who are marginalized and need support. Every Indian should be enabled to contribute to national development. Every Indian has to be given an opportunity to shape the new India we are collectively dreaming of. Every Indian must be educated, healthy, skilled, and forward-looking, ready to be part of our country's growth story. I am glad that the present government has turned many programs like sanitation, cleanliness, into people-driven mass abhiyans or movements, Jana Andolan. Our Constitution is not a static archival document, but a living document. It has enabled us to respond to the emerging challenges and adapt to the changing circumstances. Consequently, it has been amended 105 times so far. This shows that we have had the ability to listen, to debate, dialogue, and to be agile. This agility and flexibility is essential to strengthen our constitutional values. So long as we are alive to the changing realities within and outside the country, we have the wisdom to make the right policy choices to address people's concerns. We shall see this beautiful tree of the Constitution grow and flower. Our common aim should be to make this happen every day in each of our institutions and in each of our actions. We know that this requires constant vigil, an attentive eye, and concrete action. There were certain unfortunate efforts to subvert the spirit and philosophy of the Constitution during the dark period of emergency, but fortunately they were undone. We the people have time and again demonstrated that we will not allow this beautiful tree to wither. To conclude, our Constitution has worked well to enable our march towards building a new India and in the process realizing the dreams of the freedom fighters and the vision of the Constituent Assembly. We need to draw lessons from our past experience and move ahead to propel India forward. Azadi Ka Amrita Mahotsav is a celebration of our achievements collectively of the country. We can legitimately be proud of it. Let it be springboard to take India to the next level and occupy its rightful places place in the Committee of Nations as a Sushikshit Bharat, Surakshit Bharat, Swastha Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat, and ultimately Ek Bharat, Shrestha Bharat. For this to happen, we all must work together with passion for the nation. That is what is required. Dhanyavad, Jai Hind.
धन्यवाद माननीय उपराष्ट्रपति जी। अब मैं माननीय राष्ट्रपति जी से सादर अनुरोध करती हूं कि वे संविधान सभा की चर्चाओं का डिजिटल संस्करण जारी करें।